Welcome back. All right, so just putting a little bow on the trade deadline with this video here, and also doing a preview of tomorrow's action because the hockey starts early on Saturday. It's hockey all day. However, it's not an overly busy day. So we have 3 matinee games tomorrow and then 7 later games. I'll review the 3 matinee games on their own and then the other 7 games. But let us discuss the trade deadline that was and all of that. And I will do more talk of the trade deadline over the next couple of days. Brad Marchand traded to Florida. I have to admit, I thought there'd be a little bit more coming back to Boston out of this. Boston, first off, retains 50% of the cap hit on Marchand, and it is a 2027 second-round draft pick going to Boston. I know he's a rental, but still a 2027 second-round draft pick. It becomes a 2027 or 2028 first-round draft pick if Florida wins 2 rounds and Marchand plays half the games. So if they win 2 rounds, it becomes a first-rounder, either in 2027 or 2028. And I don't think there's going to be very many Bruins fans in the comments saying, well, that's a great return for Marchand. I don't. And I don't know that there would have been more or that anybody else would have been in on it. It's going to be weird to see Marchand playing for Florida. It really is. But yeah, now they have Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Bennett, and Brad Marchand. This is a team that is going to be very irritating to play against. Reese Johnson was traded to Toronto, and this is the weird part about this deadline. Trades just sort of leak out. Reese Johnson acquired for future considerations going to Minnesota. I did see people saying, hey, future considerations didn't do anything at the deadline. Yep, Toronto sends future considerations to Minnesota. And I'll mention it again here because I've seen people asking what is future considerations. You can use that for a future deal where you go to a GM and go, hey, we got that player and we worked out really well for us, and so in this trade, we can something like that. It can become a draft pick later, that kind of thing too. So either way, Reese Johnson now a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So New Jersey didn't have the kind of trade deadline that I think Devils fans wanted, and of course Jack Hughes is out for the season. Well, now Siegenthaler's out for the rest of the regular season, and they're saying Dougie Hamilton's going to be out for an extended period of time. They're hoping to get him back before the regular season's done. I did say during the live stream when somebody asked, is New Jersey going to make the playoffs? My answer was, well, yeah. But I don't know. These are a lot of key guys that are out. And New Jersey, I'll talk about it during the review tonight, but something's definitely, the switch has been thrown and it's not in a direction that seems to be beneficial to New Jersey. We'll put it that way. Sometimes the hockey gods can be cruel. And right now it definitely seems like there's some cruelty being handed out towards the New Jersey Devils. Boston picked up Jokiharju from Buffalo. I like this move. Going to Buffalo, Edmonton's 2026 fourth-round draft pick. I think Jokiharju is a good third-pairing defenseman, and for Boston, obviously, with the amount of players that have been traded out, they needed somebody back. You got to have warm bodies for that roster for the rest of the regular season. And so for Jokiharju, he is trying out for a job for next season. A lot of guys in Boston for the rest of this season are going to be trying their hardest because they don't want Boston to trade him in the offseason. Or they want to showcase what they can do for GMs during the offseason as well. Connor Timmins and Connor Dewar. So no Connors. Nobody not named Connor was traded to Pittsburgh in this deal. Toronto gets back a 2025 fifth-round pick. They did this so they'd have the cap space for Brendan Carlo. And, I mean, you only have so many roster spots, right? So you've picked up Lawton and they pick up Carlo. So Timmins and Dewar go to Pittsburgh from Toronto. I had seen this as a 3-way deal, but it's not. Basically, this trade is separate from the Toronto trade with Boston. Toronto picks up Brendan Carlo. Leafs fans, you're going to love the guy, I think. I've been a big Carlo fan for a long time. It's been a tough season for me as a Boston fan. First watching Grzelcyk leave, Carlo's gone, McAvoy's hurt, Marchand's gone. It's getting to be kind of a lot. But Boston picks up in this trade with the Toronto Maple Leafs Fraser Minton, a first-round draft pick, which is top 5 protected, which I don't think should be a concern. I don't think Toronto's going to have a top 5 draft pick. And Philadelphia's fourth-round pick this season. Also, Boston retains 15% of Carlo's cap hit just to make sure that Toronto stays under the cap. So, yeah, Toronto on the board 3 different times here in 3 deals as they try to build the best playoff roster they can. The arms race in the Atlantic is an interesting one. You have Florida, Tampa, and Toronto all making moves, which in theory should make the team stronger, and we'll see how things go for them this coming season. All right, so now that we're done with that, let us discuss tomorrow's games. We have 10 games, as I said. Two of them starting at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Starting with the New York Rangers in Ottawa against the Sens. The Rangers 31-26-5 on the season, 6-3-1 over their last 10. Ottawa 31-25-5 overall. They're 4-5-1 over their last 10 games. Ottawa needs this. They cannot afford to lose, especially in regulation against a Rangers team that is heating up. So if Ottawa's going to really and truly turn this around, tomorrow's game is a good way to show that that turnaround has really begun. They need this, and again, it has to be in regulation. 12:30 p.m. Eastern and 9:30 a.m. Pacific. Seattle and Philadelphia in a battle between two teams that are not playoff bound. Seattle 26-33-4. They're 3-6-1 over their last 10, and they've sold a lot of pieces. Philadelphia 27-28-8. 4-4-2 over their last 10 games. Philadelphia didn't sell off that much. They did trade out Lawton. They did trade out Kuzmenko, but in general, their roster is going to be very similar tomorrow to the one they had in their last game. So I do favor Philadelphia in that one for that reason. Seattle is probably going to be pretty quiet the rest of the way in terms of getting wins. But Seattle, you're going to see guys too who are fighting for jobs next year. 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific, Boston in Tampa against the Lightning. This isn't going to have that oomph. Boston-Tampa games always have that hate factor. This is going to be different. Boston 28-28-8 on the season, 2-6-2 in their last 10 games, and a lot of injured players. For Tampa, they're 37-21-4 overall. They're 9-1 in their last 10. Boston's just kind of set up for them to knock them down. It's I don't think it's going to go well for Boston personally, but at this stage now, I'm kind of rooting for Boston to lose a bunch of games and then maybe win a draft lottery, because I think if Boston wins a draft lottery, the entire hockey world, all the fans and everything are going to be like, you know what, Boston winning a draft lottery, that's perfect for hockey. So yeah, I know that's not what's going to happen if Boston wins a draft lottery, but it would be entertaining either way. 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, Buffalo's in Florida. The Buffalo Sabres have re-signed Greenway and Zucker, so not everybody wants out, and there's might be a good team in there somewhere, but they're 24-31-6 overall, 4-5-1 in their last 10. Florida 39-21-3 on the season, 8-2 in their last 10. Florida playing some very good hockey, and they got stronger at the deadline, so great news for everybody in the National Hockey League. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, just 2 games starting at that time. Toronto in Colorado against the Avalanche. For Toronto, they're 38-21-3 on the season, 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. Colorado 37-24-2 overall, 7-3 in their last 10 games. Both of these teams added. Both of these teams seeing that, feeling that they are contenders, right? This should be a fun one. This might end up being the best game of the night. They are also teams that can score a bunch of goals, so we'll see what happens there. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between the Montreal Canadiens and the Calgary Flames, so the Habs' Western swing continues. Montreal 30-26-6, 6-3-1 in their last 10 games, and they've been playing very, very well recently. They're unbeaten in regulation in their last 6, right? And for Calgary, 29-23-10, they're 3-4-3 in their last 10 games. Kind of hoping for something a little bit better than missing the playoffs, and they held. They didn't end up trading anybody, so yeah, that should be a fun one. All right, I'm going to go ahead and update a record here. I don't know what their last 10 is, but Chicago is now 20-35-8 on the season. This game in Nashville starts at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. Nashville 23-32-7 overall, and 5-5 in their last 10 games. So Chicago is fun to watch. Nashville sold off a lot. Chicago didn't sell off nearly as much. So maybe Chicago wins another one tomorrow. At that point, Chicago fans will probably be like, "Hey, now we don't need to win a bunch of games and move ourselves out of towards the bottom of the league. Let's not win too many." For Nashville, they're done for this season. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific start between St. Louis and LA. I cannot update the St. Louis record as we don't know who's going to win between St. Louis and Anaheim. St. Louis 30-27-6 on the season, 6-2-2 in their last 10 games. And again, playing tonight in Anaheim. LA is just a drive down the street. LA 31-20-9 on the season, 4-3-3 in their last 10. However, at home, they are very, very good, and they'll be facing a St. Louis team that is on the second half of a back-to-back. 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, just 2 games starting then. Dallas in Edmonton against the Oilers. Dallas 41-19-2 on the season, 7-2-1 in their last 10. They've armed themselves for the playoffs. Edmonton 36-22-4 overall. They're 4-6 in their last 10. And it does feel like the Oilers could be on the verge of turning things around, but Dallas is a really good test to that. Dallas now seen by almost everybody as the favorite to win the Stanley Cup. That pressure brings on a whole different way of looking at things, but yeah, Dallas in Edmonton, that should be a fun one. If Toronto and Colorado isn't the game of the night, my guess is Dallas and Edmonton will be. And then also at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, two teams going at one another who are not making the playoffs. The Islanders and San Jose. The Islanders 28-26-7 overall. They're 4-6 in their last 10 games. San Jose 17-38-9 overall, 2-5-3 in their last 10 games. Coming off of a tough 7-3 loss against Colorado last night. So we'll see how things go here. But let me know your picks in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And let me know your thoughts on these trades today. If you're a Bruins fan, how do you feel? If you're a Leafs fan, how do you feel? I'm wearing a Leafs jersey because I think they did really well today. I do. I think that, well, yeah, they waited till the last minute kind of sort of, and it was the last day. I think they did well. And I think the additions of both Carlo and Lawton, these are the kinds of additions they needed to make. And it should give them a better chance come playoff time. But let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you guys so much for watching and for a very busy day for me in general, but very rewarding as well. In that, live streams like that are fun, as chaotic as they are. So thank you for that. I will talk to you again soon.